It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Thanks again for joining us. Our guest, the city manager of Covina, his name is Daryl Parrish. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. I speak with city managers, city council members, mayors. It really doesn't matter. They all are hopping mad about the all but elimination of redevelopment agencies by the state of California. Why?
I think redevelopment is one of the few tools that local government has left to do meaningful economic development in the state of California.
And explain to me, in your view, how that economic development translates into jobs.
In Covina, we've used redevelopment to do housing projects, major development projects. One is the Citrus Walk project on Citrus Avenue.
And what that means, and it applies in Covina or anywhere, is that if you are constructing, you are hiring people to do the construction. And once the unit is built, someone's living there or someone's buying coffee from there, and that's jobs.
Absolutely. In fact, we estimate the overall impact of losing redevelopment in California is about $40 billion to the local or to the state economy.
Well, let's talk about the other side, though. I mean, I think it's fair to say that these are very tough fiscal times, and the money that cities and counties use and put into redevelopment agencies comes from a portion of property taxes. And my question is, do we have the luxury to be siphoning off property tax money to develop projects?
Indeed, it does come from property tax money, which is generated locally, and that's one of the arguments on the other side, is that that's locally generated revenue that should and can be used locally. The redevelopment take is $1.7 billion. The state budget problem was a $26 billion problem.
Well, let's talk about those issues, because you mentioned the fact that these are, quote, local dollars. And as a result of that perception, this League of Cities in California has sued. And the case is in the California Supreme Court, and they are saying under Proposition 22, passed by the voters in November 2010, you cannot take money from local coffers. That's what the initiative says. What do you make of this lawsuit?
We believe it's very clear. The voters spoke. The initiative says the state can no longer raid local funds. It specifies redevelopment in the initiative. Very, very clear, we think. We think we're on very good standing to win that lawsuit.
You mentioned that it's a $1.7 billion taking, if that's what you want to call it. Correct. If the case is successful, we'll know that in January. There will be another $1.7 billion gap the state has to close. So, be careful what you wish for. It's going to get cut from somewhere, and that could be cut from schools. It could be cut from parks, from libraries, from healthcare.
There was an interesting article in the Tribune a couple of weeks back. It talked about loss of jobs in government. Federal government has cut. Local government has cut substantially. The state actually has added jobs in the last year. To about 1,400.
So you believe there is still room for cuts on the state side?
I believe the state needs to look at their own programs and cut their own programs. So they've done that, to their credit. They've done that to help solve this budget deficit. But I think they need to go further. I think typically it's what the state has done, unlike cities, is they spend up to a particular point in revenue, and when times are good, they spend like times are good, and as times become bad, they spend like times are good. They don't cut to make up the difference. We have to balance our budget every year, and we do that. And if we have to make cuts, we do that.
Could you explain to me in our final moments why the average viewer should care about redevelopment?
Because the tax dollars that are generated locally are turned into the local economy. They're used locally. They create jobs locally. They revitalize communities.
Okay,
Covina's downtown's
we'll
a great
be
example
in tune.
of that.
We'll be checking out this California Supreme Court's decision. That is in January. I'm Brad Pomerance. Thank you for joining us. We've been speaking with Daryl Parrish, City Manager of Covina. We're going to send you back to HLN.